Hello and welcome to the latest from Hearts Standard. This is becoming quite a regular thing, discussing a Heart of Midlothian win, James, which they did over the weekend, 2-0 against Motherwell. It wasn't a great first half. It was quite. I found it quite boring at times, but the second half was a lot more exciting. And yeah, Hearts are now 14 points clear in third place and closer to the top two than the rest of the chasing pack, with Rangers coming up this week. We'll obviously discuss that later on in the week, but we're here to discuss the win over Motherwell. We will kind of talk about the game itself and then look at Hearts are a pretty good team in all honesty. But you have watched the game back. I've watched the second half. I've kind of just been watching it just now. And what were you, kind of briefly before we break down the game, is there anything that kind of stood out for you the second time watching it around, or anything that surprised you?
So second time round, I don't think on the day I realised how good Neuhoff was. Again, this is another
I know.
Again, we'll get into it, I'm sure, but
yeah,
just one thing that I thought was remarkable was he misplaced one pass all afternoon, which is ludicrous. Most midfielders, they might have passing accuracy kind of 85, 90%, maybe if they're really good. It was 98. Ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous. And it wasn't as if he was just playing like short, simple passes either. He was like really great kind of range of passing. Some of them were long, some of them were short, some of them he dinks out wide, whatever it might be. So, yeah, another really good performance from him.
If I'm going to try something just now, so if I save this as and I know when I try something, it never goes well. But this is terrible for people listening to this as a podcast. But I'm about to put up hopefully his passing. So the guys who are watching YouTube can see, or on Facebook if you're on Facebook at this stage. There we go. There is Callum Neuhoff's passing from the weekend, and you've seen if you look at that again. Sorry for those who are just listening on audio, but I'll try and describe it as best we can. But we've got a kind of passing radar there. Everything there's maybe two passes are made in the defensive third. The majority of his passes come in the middle to final third, and there's a lot of them that are forward. There's a mix of kind of going sideways and back, but most importantly, there's that it's not as if it's just been safe passes, like you said. It's passes that have looked to progress the game, and we can see there that it's there's a lot of really positive ones into dangerous areas, and remarkably, the one that he misplaced, it looks, you can barely see it. It's a wee dot of yellow. It's probably the shortest pass he tried to make. So yeah, it was another fantastic performance from Neuhoff. We'll come on to talk about. Anything else that kind of stood out for you, James?
To be honest, the other thing as well that we touched on this in the instant analysis, but again I kind of went into it deeper on my bigger breakdown on the piece that went out of the site this morning. It was Oda. I thought Oda was absolutely brilliant on Saturday. Obviously, he was only on for about half an hour or so, something like that, but he was just fantastic. He's been very up and down. Obviously, this season he's had his moments. He's had games where he's come on. He's not really been able to have have much of an influence on the game. But then this time we saw, and again, I think the thing that stood out is normally you think of Oda and you go, well, what's he good at? Yeah, you get him on the byline, taking on his man, getting in behind, see what he can do. He didn't really do that at all on Saturday. He was playing a lot more centrally, a lot more in the field, and that had the effect of basically just dragging the Motherwell defenders over, and then give Atkinson just the freedom of Tynecastle to just charge forward whenever he liked. We saw obviously the second goal, Vargas's goal, came about from Atkinson bombing forward. Again, Oda's in field. We saw as well when Vargas hits the post. Again, that was but so that's probably, you'd say, Hearts' second best chance for open play over the game. Again, it came from Atkinson and Oda linking up really well down the right hand side. Oda making space, Atkinson then taking advantage of it, and that's what was really missing, I think, in the first half, when Hearts couldn't find a way through it at all.
Yeah.
But then I think bringing on Atkinson was big. Bringing on Oda, that's probably when the game changed, I would say.
I suppose before getting into the individuals, we'll look at the game. We'll go to the first half to begin with, and there was a slight surprise that it went to a back three, because we we kind of discussed, and I think you put it for the Airdrie game. You had a feeling that Naismith might go to the back three for the Airdrie game. He didn't, stuck with the back four. And I just, it was in my head that from now on, you're going to see Hearts play as a back four, and it'll be rare occasion. Maybe Ibrox away next up. I might see the back three, but play the back three against Motherwell, just because like Naismith likes to keep everyone on their toes, and it was. It wasn't a disappointing half, but it wasn't exciting. But at the same time, you talked about it in your piece. You can see the benefits of it in that it is you can control games. You are built to not concede. You're about to have a strong foothold in the game, and you can saw that at the start, especially the start of the second half. Went to the back four, and it was a wee bit more chaotic compared to when you've got the control in the first half. But the issue was that, as the issues we've seen probably too often this season, especially in the first halves against teams at Tynecastle City, we could get to the final third, and then there was not really any spark.
No, exactly. That was the big thing, I think, because Hearts were adamant that they were attacking down the wings. That's how they were going to do it. And it makes sense. There are loads of bodies in the middle. It's hard to get through. But then the problem was that the most advanced wide players were always either Lembikisa or Cochrane, and there's nobody in front of them. So it meant that the Motherwell fullbacks could basically just come out and meet them, give them nowhere to go, and then that was that. The one, to be fair to Lembikisa, he was trying to beat his man at times, and he did a few times, and that was good. But there's also a few times where he's just careless in possession, just playing passes to guys where it wasn't really on, or just playing the ball straight out the park, or having some poor crosses or something like that. So it was interesting because it seemed as if kind of Hearts' game plan revolved around get the ball to Lembikisa, he beats his man, and then we're in.
Yeah,
but it just didn't really happen. That was the problem. I think that's why we saw him get hooked at half time for Atkinson, was because I think Lembikisa was quite careless at times in possession. I don't think he took care of the ball as well as he could have. And that kind of led to a wider frustration, I felt, across the Hearts team. I mean, you saw, there's a couple of examples I used in my article, but there's one point when Fraser gets the ball in a great position and he decides to hit a cross when it's not really on. He gets blocked immediately. A few minutes later, Shanklin's in a similar position, gets the ball, really great position, and decides, I'll be generous and say it's a cross. Obviously, you can't tell. It might have been a shot, which would have been insane because he's moving away from goal with his back to goal and all that kind of stuff. But that did happen after you noticed it, particularly towards the end of the first half. It did look as if Hearts were kind of ran out of ideas, to be honest, in terms of how to break Motherwell down. I will say though about one of the players who really stood out to me for me in the first half was probably Benny. I thought it was a weird game for him because I think at times he should have been a bit further forward, could have been a bit adding a bit more to attack. We know that, but his work defensively was superb.
Brilliant, yeah.
The amount, I lost count the amount of times when Motherwell were looking to break forward, and it was just Benny was there just to snuff it out and just move it on. So it was a bit of a strange game for him, and obviously then he picked up that wee knock. Naismith said after the game it was because he was fatigued. That's why he came off. But yeah, it was certainly a weird game for him. But I do think on balance he probably did quite well.
Yeah.
So when you went into the break, Hearts had 75% possession.
Yeah,
75. Like, Motherwell, okay, they'd had a couple of chances early on, but nothing substantial. So it was a really weird one. And then, like you said, I think that first opening maybe 5-10 minutes or so of the second half, that's where you see the downside of the back four, because like you say, it was a bit more chaotic, and Motherwell did have chances. They were, I'd say for that 5-10 minutes, Motherwell kind of had the momentum behind them almost, and then as I say, then not long after that, Oda comes on, and I think that's the catalyst. That's when it all changed.
Just going back to Benny. I wrote about him in the instant analysis, and that there was a few occasions where I just thought just play that. He sees a pass and he just hesitates, and then it's away. I would like him to just be quicker and more incisive and take a risk. I know maybe that's not his game, because you look around, you look around comparable players in the league, and I was chatting to my mates about this last night. Callum McGregor and John Lundstrom. They're the two most probably comparable players in terms of teams who dominate possession and they never lose. He's got very similar in terms of possession, pass success rate, and like how many times he goes sideways, how many times he goes forwards. And you obviously wrote about him early in the season about how good he is under pressure and keeping the ball. He's so good. And yeah, I think he frustrates fans because he doesn't move the ball quicker or forward nearly enough when the opportunity presents itself. So yeah, I could understand the frustration on that side. But yeah, like you said, he won the ball back so many times, and he's so good that you don't think of him as just a ball winner. You think more of that's Cammy Devlin's side of things. He's not really a tackler. He's just very good at using his body or intercepting or getting his leg in and scooping away. So yeah, I'm glad you pointed him out, because I thought he was better than maybe the fan reaction at times suggested. Now, I want to bring in a point made by Alistair Clark on YouTube. I think the fact we dragged Motherwell around for the first 45 enabled the back four system to work so well in the second half. And I suppose I'm introducing this because it's maybe more of a wider point as to why Hearts are basically now second half Hearts. So like the first half's there to be endured, and then the second half's there to be enjoyed by Hearts fans. But I think, rather than maybe just describing Hearts as a second half team, I do think there's merit in this, and it does seem at times Hearts are kind of just feeling their way into the game, just getting a sense for the opposition, and then kind of just like, right, we'll take control of the game, and almost just kind of wearing them down before Naismith can make a change or go to his bench, and then the game's it kind of opens up again.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know this is some of your events, I won't steal your thunder, but I mean, Naismith's in-game decisions are very good on the whole. Like, does he get it right all the time? Of course not, obviously not. But across the season, over the piece, more often than not, the changes, he does see the problems or the issues that the team are having, and does find solutions to it. So I think that's really admirable. In terms of the sorry, what's the question again? Sorry, I have to sort of mind.
I was just kind of talking about how the team, rather than it just being like first half Hearts are poor, second half Hearts are good, but there's more to it than that. There's merit that the fact that Hearts are quite good at, they can ease themselves into the game. Can he just, is it almost like a chess match, right? This is where the opposition are weak, and then changes can be made when things aren't going perfect, or they need to up the tempo, up the intensity, and that's where Naismith is really keen to make use of his squad. And again, when you look at it, he's a very, very good in-game manager. But I think managers take a lot of credit for being able to set up a team. I think the very best managers are able to see how a game is progressing, and from the sideline, it's hard to do because you don't get a great view of the game, but be able to read a game during that 90 minutes and go, you know what, this needs to change. And the big thing, he's not one of those managers who goes, you know what, let's just get to 60 minutes, then I'll change it. He's proactive in that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how many times this season have we seen him make 2 changes at half time? Or I think on Saturday there, he just all 5 subs by the 70th minute mark.
Yeah.
Again, this is unusual. Most like you say, most managers don't do that. I guess that's maybe a strength of starting off in the back three, is that generally, okay, yes, it can be a bit meandering in the final third at times, and okay, they're maybe not creating enough, but it does also provide, like we say, a very solid foundation. It normally keeps the opposition quiet, and then, like you say, it gives Naismith time to assess what's going on, figure out what needs to change, and then implement those changes. So I think that's why we've seen it so often this season. And to be honest, I know we were both saying that, we think the back four might be here to stay, but having thought about it now, I wonder if actually the back four basically, that might have just been a contingency plan while Rose and Atkinson were away, because we barely saw the back three without them, and then that's as soon as they're back, we see it again. So I'd be very surprised if we didn't see it on Ibrox as well this weekend. So I do think that, like you say, it just provides that kind of security, that blanket. And okay, yes, it can be a bit dull at times, or maybe it's not quite as exciting as fans want, but if that's what it takes to then allow the team to settle, to gain that control, to kind of really start exerting control over proceedings, and then you kind of take the handbrake off and go for the attack. I mean, it's certainly working just now. It's working a lot, so it's kind of hard to find fault with that.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at Alistair saying many strings to the Jambo bow, and Graham, the strength of the bench is really shown now, and it did again on Saturday. And I was speaking to Craig Wilson, who runs Big Hearts, and just like I was getting ahead of myself because I was saying, I'm really excited by what this team could potentially do in Europe, pretending that ignoring the fact that Shankland might be of interest to teams in this in the summer, but also just if, like, for example, if Liam Boyce and Barry Mackay were fit, this would be such a strong squad, even stronger. But I mean, you just got to enjoy what the team would do now. And like guys have said, the squad is there and it's so flexible, so malleable that you can interchange. I suppose you can make the point that you could ask the question, is Naismith maybe getting it wrong from the start? But I can't think of, there's not been too many games where it's been like an absolute disaster in the first half. Maybe Dundee at home.
I was going to say there's a handful where I could think of. Like, we got Dundee, the Celtic game at Tynecastle.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't go well, but and then maybe there's probably one or two right at the very start of the season as well, when obviously it wasn't going well. But like you say, yeah, it's normally just been like, it's not that Hearts are bad during the first half. It's just that they're kind of fine.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they're just without really offering much in attack at times. So yeah, I don't think it's anything to be like massively concerned about or anything like that. And again, it's that thing of, if it were me, I would rather start games slower and finish it with a high than the other way around, you know? Yeah,
you definitely said that before, and you're spot on. It's and it's like kind of similar to and the way Nace talked about Naismith, and that is it's almost like he's better at making changes as the game goes on rather than just sitting with us 11 and just seeing how it goes. So yeah, really positive as a whole. And before we get into talk about individuals, one thing that struck me in especially the second half was some of the football the team played. There were some really good like moments where kind of just like pop with the ball in midfield and move the ball from the defensive third and the final third really quickly and efficiently, and it was exciting to watch.
Yeah, it was. It definitely was. I mean, I think that it was after the first goal, really, that's when Hearts really came to life, I think, because basically Motherwell's kind of fullbacks or wingbacks, I don't know what you want to call them, the wide defenders anyway, they pushed up after that. Yeah. And then it just left even more space for Oda and Forrest to play in, and that just caused them problems to no end. Again, they were already struggling shortly before the goal, and then that goal goes in and it completely changes it. So it was, yeah, you're right, it was really entertaining. It was nice to see, because we know that at times it has been laboured in the final third. We are wanting to see this kind of one-touch passing and clever movement. And again, I'll mention Oda. I thought Oda, there was a great chance Oda had not long after he came on when he got the ball out right. Atkinson kind of ran beyond him to open up some space. He cuts inside, and then he kind of hits a wall of bodies, just touches it back to Neuhoff, and then he wants it straight back. You can see him, he's pointing, going like, you know, makes a run in behind. But then Neuhoff, again, really clever play. Well, you know, that might get blocked. Just does a wee pass into Shankland. Shankland turns it around the corner, and all of a sudden Oda's through on goal. So again, little moments like that. That's just what we've not seen an awful lot of this season, just like unpicking a defence and finding a way through. So I think when you do start seeing it and it does start flowing, again, it's just another reason to feel encouraged, because again, that's maybe one of the few things you'd hold against this Hearts team or Naismith's reign, was that it could be a bit more exciting, a bit more fluid in the final third. And again, we're now starting to see that more and more often on a weekly basis. I mean, that can only be a good thing, right?
Yeah, well, absolutely. And I suppose you talked about Oda, and the big thing for me was watching the second half back again. The first thing he did was he got the ball I think it was won the ball deep in the Hearts half, and immediately took someone on or knocked it past an opponent, and was really direct. And how many times have we spoken this season about how much he's frustrated us, even though we know how much talent there is there to work with, and there's pace, there's a lot of quality. So yeah, I think you used the word encouraging just in terms of the Hearts attack going forward, but I've just found it really encouraging with Oda, and if he can basically bring that mindset and drive every time he plays, then he's going to be such an effective and productive player. Again, it makes it very hard for Naismith if he gets to that level, because you just see how much Vargas has come on, see how important that Forrest is to the game. Because, like, again, I thought Forrest had a key moment in the first half. You mentioned it in your piece, in that it was the first time he kind of took someone on and hit a shot. Okay, it was straight at Kelly, but I think it was such an important moment, kind of almost like flicking a switch.
Yeah, well, just on that. So it was quite early on in the second half. So that was after the formation change, and so that was a really key moment, I thought, because up until that point, like I said, Hearts didn't really have the bodies out wide. They couldn't really make those inroads. Whereas as soon as you move to the back, the 4-2-3-1, and you got Kingsley there as well as Forrest, and then all of a sudden there's one poor Motherwell player trying to mark the two of them. Obviously, you can't do that, and it inevitably creates space, and it creates those moments where you can get into those 1v1 battles, and that's where it was great to see Forrest take on his man, beat him, get the shot away, great. And then, like you say, with Oda, again, gets into the individual battle, wins it. And I think that was really crucial, because the way that Motherwell were set up, they didn't really make many challenges. They sat off, they didn't commit men. I don't think any Motherwell player completed any more than 3 tackles over the course of the game, for instance. So they were sitting off and they weren't committing to challenges. And the trick, so in that situation, is the idea is, okay, you want to try and suck somebody in an individual battle, and then you beat them. And then once you've beaten them, all sorts of opportunities open up, because then at that point people have to start struggling. Defenders are marking somebody, and then somebody needs to go to the ball, and it leaves little gaps. And I think that was the really important thing. I think it was really, so I think we saw Limbakisa trying it in the first half, worked once or twice, and the most part it didn't. And then, like you say, right at the start, early on in the second half, you see Forrest doing it, and it's like, okay, here we go. This is why it's valuable. And then you get Oda coming on doing the same thing. And then as soon as it goes 1-0, all of a sudden, they don't even need to do that anymore, because Motherwell will get a wee bit more attacking, a wee bit more gung-ho, a little bit less passive, I suppose, in defence. So again, I think that having those players that are good in those dribbling situations, that like to take on their man and get across in their shot, and sometimes there's certain games, and Saturday was one of them, where that's absolutely fundamental to success. So I mean, I thought it was really, again, I thought the Forest point was really important, like that moment, because it showed that, okay, this is it working. But I should say as well, I thought that, I don't know, maybe 90% of Hearts' attacks went down the right wing. If it was all down the right, and I know we see that a lot anyway, it tends to be focused on the right, but in this match, it was really after the second half, where it's just Oda and Atkinson all day. And it worked, so fair enough.
Yeah, it was good to see, like, just how positive Atkinson was with his use of the ball, even though it wasn't. So I'll praise him and criticize him at the same time. It was positive for his use of the ball because he was wanting to get in the box, but sometimes his decision to cross rather than find a better placed teammate was let him down at times. But again, positive to see that mindset, even without the ball, he was wanting to get forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a really good example of it would be that goal right to the death, when he gets the ball, he's driving inside. There's one point where he should absolutely play it to Alan Forrest, and you see Alan Forrest is calling for it. He's like, play it, because he's unmarked to the edge of the box. And then Atkinson's like, nah, just going to go myself instead. And okay, it works out in the end, because actually positive Vargas, it goes in magic. But yeah, like you say, it was a weird. I still don't know if Atkinson was good or bad in that game. It was really difficult, because like you say, he was brilliant at rampaging forward, brilliant at getting into great positions. But then sometimes, it was like, just play the shot. Like the amount of times Neuhoff was just sat just behind him at the edge of the box, like nobody in sight. Obviously, Neuhoff scored a couple of crackers from long range recently. Maybe just give it to Neuhoff, let him have a dig, see what happens. But yeah, instead there was a few balls in the box that weren't the best. But yeah, it's a weird game because he did some stuff absolutely brilliantly, but then I think sometimes his decision making was a wee bit off.
Now, Callum Neuhoff, honestly, he's quickly turned into my favourite player, aside from Shankland. It's just it's like he just, again, just flicked the switch that we've talked so much about. What does he really bring to this midfield? And the answer is actually everything. It was just again, absolutely everywhere. So good. And there was a brilliant moment in the second half, where the ball broke loose and he just comes thundering into a challenge and wins it. And it's just, it's like that, the reading of the game, reacting quickest to the ball, just getting stuck in. And then we've talked about his use of the ball. There was you mentioned the pass down the right to Oda in your piece. There was also when he drifted infield got onto his left foot and clipped this brilliant ball into the back post for Shankland, who had a good chance, but he didn't quite make connection with it. And it was one of my favourite aspects of the game on Saturday was when he got subbed. The reaction from the Tynecastle crowd, it was absolutely massive. It's like one of the loudest kind of standing ovations I've heard in a while at Tynecastle.
Yeah, Joe, you're right. It was deserved. It was such a nice moment because, like we say, this is a player who, let's not kid ourselves, not that long ago we were struggling to see what he brought to the team, and now there you go. God, he needs to be playing every week. He has to. Too good. He's too good. So thoroughly deserved that ovation. Like you say, his range of passing is good, and then of course as well, he won the free kick that led to the goal as well. Again, it was just he got the ball. He had a couple of Motherwell players around him. Used his body well. Wins the free kick. Might have been a wee bit soft. I'm not 100% sure, but again, he's used his body well. He's got in the way of the attack of the Motherwell player in the ball. He's won the free kick, and then from that Heart score. So again, that's maybe that little, perhaps that streetwise nature that I wouldn't say he strikes me as that kind of player, but seeing those little aspects of his game come on as well is great to see. But like you say, it was his range of passing that really stood out to me. I mean, there was one point when I think I touched on in my analysis piece where he gets the ball maybe 30 odd yards from goal and kind of in the centre. He's got his back to goal. He's got a Motherwell man bearing down on him, and Atkinson is basically completely free on the right hand side, and he just spins round, we dink out to Atkinson, and then it's stuff like that where it's just to have that vision and that awareness is just brilliant to see. It's great because again, he's not even looking at Atkinson, but he just knows. He knows he's there. So again, me giving him a 6 out of 10 for January for transfer window rating. That's going to come back to haunt me. I think I'll be wearing that as albatross around my neck for some time because he's making me look very, very silly at the moment. I've
got a lot of stick from my pals throughout the season because I told him, I was like, listen to you guy in the summer, having watched him when he was in A-League, I was like, mark my words, he's going to be Hearts' best signing. And then it was like, I've been very sheepish. I've been very, very sheepish for a while, but no, it's great to see. It's like I feel like a proud father seeing his son come on leaps and bounds. So yeah, absolutely brilliant. I mean, we can talk about suppose just very quickly mention Vargas again came on just a real live wire, almost scored a brilliant goal, then did score a brilliant goal. And certainly we've spoken about him plenty, but he just adds a wee bit more verve to the attack and slowly and surely becoming a fan's favourite. Now I'll get to some of the questions we get in before we in the YouTube and Facebook comments before we finish. So let's see. There's one about. Bear with me. Danielle asked what happened to Lewis Nielsen. Lewis Nielsen's on loan at Partick, so he's not back until the end of the season. And I would imagine he will be part of Stephen Naismith's plans. How's he getting on? Still getting on fine at Thistle, James?
Yeah, still doing largely pretty well. Yeah. He's playing a team that concede from corners every 2 minutes, apparently, so that's not great. But he's largely doing very well. And Thistle are pretty comfortably third in the championship at the moment. So, and he's playing week in, week out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Valuable experience. Graham asked, what's happening with Denham as he seems further down the pecking order now and Tate is ahead of him? I think that's pretty straightforward, relatively straightforward, James, in that Naismith sees Tate as like the number 6. So you can kind of see, you can basically just interchange Benny and Tate. And then in terms of Denham, I think the big thing is Neuhoff's progression, and that I would say Denham, Neuhoff, and now Devlin are the ones kind of fighting for that kind of number 8 midfield spot.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the point I was going to make as well. I think that Devlin's return to fitness probably hasn't done Denham any favours in terms of that, but I'm sure we'll still see him play between now and the end of the season.
Yeah,
just because he's largely done pretty well when he has played recently. And yeah, like you say, I think that Tate, he's more that kind of playmaker, number 6 types, whereas Denham's perhaps a bit more box to box. And I think there's that game, was it Livingston away, when Denham came on for the last 10 minutes or so,
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant in that wee cameo. So things like that. So I think if it's a game where Hearts are maybe got a 1-goal lead, needing to see it out, he's exactly who you want to come on and just do that again. You know, like if it gets to Saturday and it's 85th minute at Ibrox and Hearts are 1-0 up, get Denham on and get him just to run ragged for, get him to cover 5k in the 10 minutes on the park. Go for it.
And finally, this is not a question, more a statement from Graham. Can't believe Shankland got booked for winning the ball. That was, at the time, I thought that's a bad decision. And then you see it back and it's a terrible decision.
Yeah, absolutely honking. Yeah, rubbish. I'd imagine that's one that'll get rescinded, you would think.
I think you only get rescinded if it's wrong, if it's either if it was a mistake regarding diving or if you've been, or if they booked you for being the wrong person.
Oh, okay, right, got you. Never mind then.
Yeah, but someone did ask me on Twitter at the weekend about a possible suspension. I checked it with a pal of mine who used to do refereeing. He says the rules have changed recently, so to get a suspension, you need to have picked up 6 bookings in the first half of the season, and then once after the 19th game, it then reverts to 12 bookings. So Shankland's on 5 bookings. So unless he goes on a booking spree, he's not going to be getting suspended for a yellow card. So it shouldn't be, hopefully not that important come the end of the season. But James, we'll leave it there. That was I really enjoyed that. Really, it's enjoyable talking about Hearts and Hearts winning. So I really cannot complain. We'll be back later on in the week to discuss something else related to Hearts. In the meantime, be sure to check out all the content on heartstandard.co.uk and don't forget. Yeah, that's it. And don't forget you can download the app now as well. So we're really happy with it. It makes. I really do think, especially kind of stats pieces which have got diagrams, I think it makes it so much more easier to consume and read on the app. And a girl got in contact with us over the weekend and just said because of her dyslexia, the app is so much better because it allows her to play. I think you can actually listen to articles. Yeah,
there's a feature, so there's a wee button at the top where you just click that and it'll read it out. Which is great. Yeah, for people who struggle with reading or if you've got bad eyesight, it's just another way so you can still enjoy the content. Yeah, but it's great. I think it's a really good piece, really good addition. And if you do have any issues, just give me a shout on my email or Twitter, and I'll look into it and try and get you sorted. But I think I've managed to sort most of people's issues. But until the next time, enjoy your week, and thank you very much once again. Goodbye. Bye bye.